All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us for the Impact of the Leadership Collaborative Cohort in our Stories of Transformation. This is an opportunity for you to hear from our alum who have gone through the Leadership Collaborative, where they share their experiences and what they have learned and how it has impacted their leadership. So we thank you. I am Tarshawn Renee Gibson, the Executive Director of the Black Principals Network. And I'm excited to share this opportunity with my brothers and sisters from the Leadership Collaborative. So, without further ado, let's bring them on. Hello, family. Hello, hello, hello.
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 Hey,
Hey, all right. So, really quickly, I would love if we could just go around and share who we are, what cohort we're in or where are from, and what city we're in.
Well, I'll go ahead and start us off. I am Sanaya McBride, and I am from Duval. That's right, Jacksonville, Florida. And I am from Cohort TLC 23.
All right.
Hello, my name is Nicole Spicer. I am the proud principal of Bronzeville Classical School in Chicago, Illinois, and I am from TLC 24.
I'm David McGuire, Indianapolis, Indiana, TLC 23.
All right. And so we are excited. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your experiences with our potentials of TLC 25. So hopefully, hearing from you will give them a little bit more insight on what to expect. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So, I'm going to start with a couple of questions that I just, want to ask you to get a little bit of insight on your experiences. So, the first one would be, can either of you tell me about a moment during the Leadership Collaborative experience when you realized your leadership had shifted to the next level?
So besides every session, because every
Right.
session I felt like it was shifting in a good way. But I think for me, probably had to be the mid retreat because that's when I was kind of at a crossroad in my career where I wanted to go. And I think it was in that moment where I realized, okay, there's a shift that's happening with me as a leader. I'm seeing the work differently. I'm seeing myself differently. And I think that's the biggest thing because I started to see myself as a leader differently. So I had for me, midway through the cohort, I had this aha moment about the leader that I wanted to be. I was getting closer to that.
So to add, and like David said, I can't think of one particular experience because the entire experience alone transformed my leadership. But I do remember one particular meeting, and it was online. It wasn't in person, and I think Dr. Feeney was leading that, and she did a training on, well, one of the topics she talked about was how we hire our faculty and staff and people that are coming into our building, and how you could just hire anybody. And to me, it was so pivot. It was so important because we were coming out of COVID and there's a shortage of teachers. And we were like, okay, we just got to fill these seats. But then you fill these seats and you're stuck with individuals who might not necessarily share the same values that you have, or the vision for your building and for your students and for your community. And then you have a bigger problem than just filling a seat. And that training was so transformative. What she presented, I use now. I took it back to others. And that was that pivotal moment that I will always remember and I always share with this experience.
Um, I guess I'll close out this question. I was thinking about what Dr. McGuire said and Ms. McBride stated. I think for me, it was during a personal leadership moment. Tarshawn, I guess, strategically waited for me to go last, or almost last to do my leadership story. And I think that as an experienced leader, I had done my leadership story so many times in so many spaces, and even as a search fellow. However, in this space as a principal, doing my leadership story just felt very, very different. And taking advantage of the safe space to be extremely vulnerable. I think that I really had an opportunity to reconnect with my why in a very intimate and open way with people who I felt like understood my experience personally. It wasn't something that I had to explain to them. It wasn't something that was foreign to them. It because they experience it similarly to me, I think it just hit a little bit different. And so reconnecting with my why after being in school leadership for nearly a decade, I think just really opened me to the transformation that I think you can only get during TLC.
I love that. Thank you so much. I kind of want to build a little bit off of that. And I think you were a great segue into this. But I have a question. Like, how do you feel like TLC challenged you to grow in ways that you did not expect?
I think that in leadership development spaces, sometimes you are not with other school leaders, or you are in spaces where, in your development, they still expect a certain level of practice, performance, or expertise. I feel like in TLC, that really is not a requirement. Like everyone felt really, really safe of not only discussing and celebrating like our wins, but really being candid, open, and honest about the things that we really are struggling with. And the people around you just truly being committed to seeing you grow. Whether that was sharing resources, listening, giving advice, or connecting about something that they've specifically gone through. Um, that I think like that really just stands out to me and just immediately came to mind.
So, what immediately came to mind for me was Dr. Amanda Akins and her presentation and what we went through dealing with those basements and those ceilings, how to lead from the basement. That was a challenging aspect for me because, of course, you can always operate in your ceiling. And if you apply, you'll find out more about that. But I'm not gonna I'm not gonna give you too much. You gotta apply. But that operating from the basement was very challenging for me. And I'm still working through some of those things. But when you realize that you're operating from the basement and you start to make those changes because you're more aware of it transforms your leadership as well, just in personally as well, not even in the building, but as your personal growth as a human. That was it was very insightful, and it definitely offered some challenges in me becoming a better person and better leader.
I don't know how many times I've done the strength finders in my career, but I think the biggest challenge was going through the strength finders with Dr. Amanda Aiken and going through it through BPN, because I felt like before I was checking the boxes on doing it, but this was the first time that I really had to confront not just the top strength, but some of those bottom strengths and how do you lean into them. And it was difficult because you shot away from those, but you focus on the ones that you were good at. And so, but we were pushed to go deeper with a lot of those. And so that was challenging, right? Because I just wanted to do the things that I did great at, and it was easy. But that experience allowed me to say, like, that's cool and all, but how do you lean into these other ones and leverage these other ones? Because these are the ones that are greatly impacting your leadership and the spaces that you lead. So that was challenging for me because we're leaders and we don't like to struggle at things. And I'm gonna be honest, that was a struggle for me at first to lean into that and be transparent about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always we always get feedback from that particular story or that particular session. So I'm very excited to know that it lands, and the beauty is that it lands for different people in different ways. So I love that. All right, so let's get a little bit more personal, right? Professionally personal. We're not going to go that deep. But can you share a story about how TLC prepared you to lead in a situation that truly mattered for your school or community? So this could be something that came up during or after, right? Because we know that situations may pop up, and it's then when you go into that leadership toolkit. So can we talk a little bit about maybe a little story where TLC prepared you to lead in a situation that was very necessary or critical to your school or community?
I think as leaders, we got to build a bench. And so in our MVP, ours was focused on preparing that number two. And shout out to Dr. Kyla and Ashley, who were my partners in our work. And ours was literally focused on leveling up. How do we prepare our assistant principals to take over day one? Because oftentimes as principals, we say it, but we don't really do it intentionally. And then you have to reflect on the previous assistant principal that I had to say, like, dang, did I really prepare them to be the leader if something happened? Of course, we don't know, we don't want anything to happen or anything, but we have a transition, whether it's forced or not forced. We got to make sure that the people that are coming behind us are ready. And we have to be very intentional. I think in addition to leading your school, that's one of your primary focuses, is building up your bench. And so that was transformative, because now in my new role, I'm all about how do I, as I say, send the elevator back down, right? And send it back down with a roadmap, so those people that are coming up next not only have the ability to make it there, but are able to thrive. And so that has really shaped my new leadership now, that I'm trying to build a bench and I'm trying to build folks and make sure they're ready day one. So that process and that project was helpful.
I agree with Dr. McGuire. I would definitely say our problem of practice really stretched me in my role. I think that it is very parallel to Dr. McGuire's project of building out his bench. But I think for me, what was more impactful or more important is thinking about the folks that I already have on the team and understanding where they are. So my project was really all about like evaluation and coaching intentionally. So making sure that I know where my full team lands in terms of their skill and their real, and then tailoring my coaching and the evaluation process to ensure that I'm really developing folks in those areas where they're strong, and then also identifying those areas of opportunity. And so coaching intentionally is going to be my lever or strategy to make sure I have that bench. We know that the shelf life of the principal is not as long as it used to be. And because we are all passionate about our school communities that we lead, I think that it's important that when you have experienced success, you want it to be the legacy that you leave behind, and not that everything crumbles when greater comes. We are all fantastic leaders, and we deserve to grow and thrive, but we also want the peace and able to do that. So I agree. I think our problem of practice was my opportunity to really develop my leadership or transform my leadership. And I use a lot of what I learned in practice today.
So I'm gonna go a little bit in a different route. The problem of practice, absolutely, that was an experience within itself, and it definitely has played a part in my leadership and how I lead. But what was truly a benefit, which everything was a benefit, but this was really a benefit. And if you apply, I sound like a commercial. However, you get a coach, a principal coach, or a leadership coach. And I had the pleasure of having Dr. Amanda Aiken. I keep saying her name, but she helped coach me through a very difficult situation. I won't go into details because I'm not sure who's on this live. However, her expertise in coaching me through this situation was a benefit not only to the school community, but me personally as a leader. It helped me frame things in a different way. It helped me coach some people up and out. And she just provided some great. She just because she's outside, so she has a different lens of what I was dealing with, and having her as a coach also let me know that as a leader, you need a coach. You need a coach. You need more. You need professional learning, but you also need a coach outside of your mentor to help you navigate things as a leader. And that is good for your mental health.
That part. Thank you. Thank you. And just to piggyback a little bit off of some of the things that
Arshawn, can I add to that? I
Absolutely.
think that bringing out the leadership coaching, I think is an important lever, and we definitely should not gloss over that. Um, I think that Black Principals Network has done an amazing job recruiting some of the best leadership coaches that I've ever interacted with. I'm not sure if folks know about the New Leaders for New Schools program. I've had a coach through there twice. I've had a mentor from my district. I had a mentor through my Surge Fellowship. But I want to say that Brandy Chin of the Opportunity Trust is the truth. Told me what I needed to hear, what I didn't want to hear, all the things. She really, really developed me in probably, I don't know how many sessions we had, and such a steep trajectory that I have ever experienced in my career that I definitely wanted to put a exclamation point, a emphasis, a jump on, stand on business, whatever you want to say on it about the leadership coaching, because that is probably my favorite part of my experience.
Yes, ma'am. That was worth saying. Okay. You can stop me at any time because this is about your experience. Okay. So, yes, I agree. Shout out to Dr. Brandy Chin. Shout out to our coaches. And I think that that's a big part. So, I love that we are also talking about some of the components and us on this side knowing how it's landing for you because we're very intentional about pairing people up who we think would be a good match, but it's like what the coaches are about, but also what you're saying you need and what you're not saying you need. So we appreciate that it is landing the way it is and that I know Dr. David McGuire, I know you love Ian down. I know. So we don't have to say shout out Dr. Ian Buchanan. We appreciate you as well. But we really take the time to pair you so that it makes sense and it feels like that. So I'm very happy to know that it lands that way. So the next thing that I want to talk about is about the relationship because we kind of got into principal coaching and it's a cohort, y'all. So I want to talk about the relationships you built with within TLC that have played a role in your growth as a leader. So it could be within your cohort or within the other cohort. Maybe you have some connections. Maybe that's how you got here. All of that kind of stuff. Let's talk about how the relationships that you build in TLC have impacted you as a leader or your growth as a leader.
Well, okay, I'll just jump on in and talk about it. I love my cohort, love TLC 23. We're like a family. Um, we all can call each other at any time. We really like, oh, I got your back. No, that is like a true statement. Like we definitely have each other back, whatever you may need at any time. And that's with everyone, not just pockets, but everyone in our cohort. I feel close to anyone. I feel like I can pick up the phone and call anyone at any time and get whatever I need. I am especially my brother here, right here on the call with me. That's my boy. That's my frat. That's my everything. David is amazing, along with some others. But it's like I can't even put words to it. It's like a sorority, kind of like Alpha Kappa Alpha. I can call my sorors at any time. So yeah, it's kind of like a brotherhood, a sisterhood, and it's indescribable. I'm just still in awe that this actually exists because when I found out about it, I was like, I've never heard of this, and then I didn't know what to expect on that first opening retreat. But when I tell you, wow, wow, that's all I can say. And if you decide to apply, I know I keep saying this, it will be well worth it. The experience is indescribable. The people you will meet is indescribable. The relationships that you will build all over the nation, not just where you are. You have people everywhere who can contribute to what you want to become or what you are becoming as a leader.
I agree. I definitely feel like you feel a part of this elite group because it is so intimate and it feels so exclusive. And just to not to repeat anything, because I agree with everything that was just stated, but I'll just tell a very brief story. I have a cohort member, cohort brother, Quentin Lewis, that is in KIP, DC. That is my brother. We clicked. We still talk to this day. We hold each other accountable for taking care of ourselves. But recently, I was selected to be a part of the Distinguished Principals program. And literally, I had a woman come up to me from DC and was like, I was told to come and find you here because Quentin Lewis works with me and he said that you are the bomb and that I needed to meet you on the first day that we come and that we are going to be close friends. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm in New York City, not even in the DC area. Only know folks from Chicago because it is another national organization. And someone sought me out just on the word of one of my cohort brothers. And I think that that just speaks so profoundly to how the cohort is developed to cultivate these deep relationships that will become lifelong friendships that will extend beyond the professional.
I'll say this. I think we finished October of 2023. That's when our graduation was. And our group tabs stay jumping to this day. It'd be lit. It'd be lit, though. It'd be lit. But like that just speaks to the closest. And this is my family. Y'all better recognize. You see us. That's our graduation picture. I don't know if y'all can see it, but yeah, that's how tight we are. Go ahead, show you. Come on, let me.
Don't try to show out, Dr. McGuire. I got my picture too. Come on, don't try to show out.
So I say that to say I want people to understand this is real family, right? We didn't just do a fellowship like most fellowships and then that's the end of it. Like we stay connected so much from the point of I see my bro in there. We was just texting today, right? Jadon, who's in our cohort, she sent me a conference fellowship just yesterday, checking in. Like that's how we wrote. I lost a bet to my good sister up there when the Jags beat the Colts early in the season. But that's another story for another. Like that's the relationship. So it's not just professionally, but personally, we stay connected. We check on each other. We celebrate each other, whether it's a book release by one of our good sisters, a new baby, a new job, whatever it is. We're always celebrating and loving. And now, right, we're bringing on our other siblings, and we look forward to doing the same thing. So this is real family. This is not one of those fellowships and programs where you do it and people go off their way. We stay connected and we're real intentional about it. So it's all love this way.
I love that. And I love that y'all fighting over these pictures. Okay. Okay. I love it. I love it so much. I love it so much. All right. So that is important. I think that that's something that I definitely want to highlight. We know that one of our principles of practice is community. So building community, focusing on relationships. And a lot of people are often concerned. Everybody wants it to be longer and all that kind of stuff. But yes, I know. However, you're still connected even after programming. You find opportunities to connect, you find opportunities to share resources, you find opportunities to facilitate programming and share your brilliance. Come on. We have a couple people that have done that. So, yeah, it's not just about the cohort because the cohort is just the beginning. And we always say at Surge, the alumni experience is alumni hood is the best hood it is. Shout out to my good sis, Tierra Wheatley, the Vice President of Alumni Impact, because she's going to make sure y'all stay connected as well. All right. So the next question I want to ask is, and I think you kind of touched on it. I love how these things are just rolling into each other. But what makes TLC stand out from other leadership development programs, especially for Black school leaders?
I'll jump in. So, anybody listening, I saw one of my former classmates, colleague in the word, Jeremy Wally's in the chat. I'm hoping he applies. But name me a program where you get a therapist to develop you as the person, and you get an executive coach to develop you as the professional. And I got good wait time, so I'll wait and let you think about that. Probably nowhere but TLC and BPN. So I was able to get a therapist because we all got our mess. I'm a Black man in America. You know, I got a lot going on. So I got my therapist who worked on me as David McGuire, and then I got Dr. Buchanan, shout out to him, who worked on me as Dr. McGuire, the principal and the professional. And that was simultaneous. And I made sure that I leaned in to the therapy and leaned into the executive coaching, and it was all supported by BPN and TLC. So that to me is probably the biggest thing that separates the two. You don't get that anywhere. And I've done my fair share of fellowships, and that was one that will always stand out and make this experience unique.
In addition to the free therapy and the executive coaching,
That part.
yeah. The Leadership Collaborative is specially designed for Black leaders. You do the experience that you will get in the fellowship, you will not get anywhere else. I've been a part of several different fellowships as well. But from beginning to end, when you first step foot in the place, you will know that you've entered into a different space. It's a safe space. That's what makes it different. It's a safe space. It is a space specially curated and designed for us. And you won't get what you get with this. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's something you've never experienced before.
I agree. I think that McBride and McGuire have stated it very, very nicely and diplomatically. It is a space for Black leaders, period, point blank. That's it. That's all. We know that the public education system in America is inherently racist. It's so many systemic things that affect and impact the adults in the system, the family in the systems, the students in the system, and nobody really wants to talk about that and the impact that it has on us as school leaders. And so for me, knowing that I'm in a Black space, talking about Black kids with Black issues, that's the thing.
Yeah. Thank y'all. For me, it is very important that you all feel the intentionality of the space, that it feels relevant to you, that you feel seen, valued, and heard. And that is what we aim to do in that space, is to make sure that it's not just another program, but that you're walking away each time we are in community with each other with something practical that you can then use immediately, right? That you feel like your time, it was time well spent, right? And one of the things that we know is that we are operating often in systems that are not designed for us. Um, and so it was very intentional that this space feels like it is for you. And we use your feedback to make sure that that is so, right? Like we you all know, y'all do a survey, we gonna tell you what we implemented based off of your feedback in the survey in the very next session. So because we need this to be, we need it to be valuable. We need you to feel the impact. And that's the way that we do it. So I appreciate it. We appreciate it, and we appreciate you. So thinking about impact, what would you say would be, or how would you describe the lasting impact TLC has had on your leadership journey?
Um, I would say TLC's straight throwing the oops for your boy. They putting your boy on. I ain't gonna lie to you, right? It's for me, it's like how do we lead in our space? But TLC has grown us that while we are leaders in our space and leaders in our city, we have a bigger obligation to lead outside of our space and lead more broadly. And I say that probably the lasting impact is that I've been pushed um, outside of my comfort zone to lead into some different strengths that I have, to take more risks on behalf of Black children, Black teachers, and Black principals across the country. And so that's probably the best and biggest lasting impact for me is that it's continue to throw oops, continue to provide opportunities, continue to push resources out. And if we don't take advantage of them ourselves, we'll get a solid nudge to make sure that we saw them, but it's a good nudge. And we need that because far too long we've been standing on the sideline, and it's our space now. We're taking over. We're about to flip this whole Black principal exodus thing, and we're growing a movement. So that would be my lasting impact.
You sound like an agitator.
And you know it.
I agree. The resources, the networking, the connections, in addition to the professional learning, I know it's specifically and intentionally designed for us, but everything that I gained in that experience is something that I'm still using to this day. And I'm able to build my bench with these same values and same professional learnings that when I do leave the seat is going to continue. And if they do go out to other schools, that is going to continue. And that's what it's about, being, spreading what we've learned so it can reach others. It can reach other leaders. It can reach all children that we don't touch. But if we're touching someone, everything we've learned, they can get as well. And I am grateful and still grateful and will still sing the praises of TLC 23 and BPN because we are doing some amazing work that is transforming lives.
I would say that the lasting impact on TLC and my leadership journey was it just solidified the brilliance that I know that I have. And I know that McBride and McGuire will echo Dr. Aiken because she will come in the room and tell you that you are brilliant. And there are so many spaces where people are not telling us that we are brilliant. And so immediately following TLC, I'm in my next leadership thing. And so in full transparency, I won't say the name, but it is a very white space. And in that space, I believe that perfectionism is real and there is a need to reflect that. And when I'm in those spaces, I feel confident in saying what I know, what I don't know, and how I'm here to learn. And I think that empowers others to lean into the vulnerability needed to learn and to grow. Because if I'm in a space and I'm the smartest person in the room and I already know how to do everything, it is a waste of my time and I don't have time to waste. So I think leaving TLC, I am very, very confident in the things that I know, the things that are great about me, and the things that maybe not so much that I'm still working on, and it's okay. I try to lead my own team in that way, and I really feel like that empowers us to have some really real conversations when we have to make sure that we are doing what's right for kids, because I don't ever want them to think that they can't own a mistake so that we can fix it and make it better. And I have to model that through my leadership. And so I think TLC empowered me to do that. And I take that into every space that I go into.
Well, amen. Okay. Okay. I appreciate that. And I love that. I love that you're leading authentically, right? And modeling. That's what we don't think about is what are the examples we're setting in our building? What tones are we setting in our building? And they're watching you. And I appreciate that you're taking that with you. because your freedom to be vulnerable and transparent gives them the freedom to do so as well. And that's growth. So, you know what we say, sir, perfectionism is not the goal, excellence is. So, yes, ma'am. Okay. All right. So kudos to you. I love that. Okay. And I just want to do another shameless plug. I honestly think that visits are great as well. Nobody mentioned that, but I love to pop up on a person or have somebody pop up on you. Okay. Because we want to check on you and make sure everything is good. So, all right. So we are about six. Okay. We're almost done. I just have about two more questions. And so we have a lot of people that are on the fence, for TLC. Like, oh, what is this? Is it another program, another fellowship, whatever. If you had somebody who was on the fence, what would you say to someone that is considering TLC 25 as to why they should prioritize this opportunity?
So I'll start because I was that person. I was like, I'm not applying for another program. I'm not doing it. I don't want to do it. No. But I was the person who referred it to me. I respect that person. So out of respect, I said, I'm going to go ahead and apply. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad I listened to that inner voice because it has been transformative. It has changed the way I lead. It has it gave me helped me connect back to my why I'm in the seat, why I'm doing what I'm doing, and connect to my purpose. And until that is fulfilled, I'm going to continue because I now have this network of people who are in the same space with me, who I can lean on when I'm having those days and be like, and they can pick me back up and say, hey, sis, remember, you're stellar. Remember, you're brilliant. And it get me right back on that horse and let's ride. Let's do what we came to do because we are here for the community. We are here for our kids. And if we not there, who's going to be there for them? So I would say apply. If you are on the fence, apply. Because again, this is not a job. This is not a career. This is a calling. And when you have been called to do the work, you need people aligned to that same calling to help you in it. So apply.
First, I'm gonna say I'm very protective of the space, so I want people to apply, and I know people are on the fence, but when you do decide to apply, I need you to get off that fence because you cannot walk into this space and do it haphazardly. You can't do it and just say, well, I just want to be a part of this connection because I saw this live stream and these people seem super dope and they talk about all the great things they're doing. Like, you got to really jump into it. And so I'm going to speak to the people in our city, in Indianapolis. There's a lot of craziness going on. It's just a lot of craziness going on, especially in the space of education. They talking about closing schools with, and I work in a charter school, but they're talking about closing traditional public schools and turning them into charter just because someone makes a buck of it. And we need more Black principals to stand in the gap on behalf of Black children, Black schools. And you need to have the proper training and the proper support. So what better way than to be a part of a Black space that I said was built and created by a Black principal for Black principals. And so that would be my plea. If you are in a city like mine or a city like any others where that's happening, you need to make sure you are equipped. You need to make sure you have a squad behind you, because if you don't, they'll throw darts at you and try to tear your name down. You need to make sure you got some brothers and sisters that'll pick you up. But with that, before you apply, get off that fence, because this space is protected. And if you ain't all in, if your cohort is real, like I know TLC 23 and 24 was, we'll call you out. So just be sure that you about this life, because that's what we need. We need people about this life.
Well stated. I will say that most of the professional development offered for school leaders of color or not, I think is focused on developing your lens as an instructional leader. TLC is designed and facilitated in a way to grow your personal leadership. If you don't attend to your personal leadership, your instructional leadership will suffer. You will burn out and you will feel like this is not your calling. I very much agree that this is a ministry. I think this is a labor of love. And I think that our greatest rewards won't even come while we're sitting in the seat. So if you are in a space where you are feeling like you are burnt out, you can't do it anymore, you are ready to leave the seat, this is the moment, this is the space, this is the experience for you. I definitely feel like I got a few more years in me. I came into the space like, I don't know, how is this gonna be different? But I'm gonna give it a try because it's Tarshawn. I trust her. But seriously, if you care about this work and you haven't done anything for yourself, this is the opportunity to be selfless. The principals that I'm nominating and encouraging to apply for this opportunity are exactly the folks that I'm talking about. The people that are feeling the burn, the people that feel like, I don't know if I can make it another year, another contract, because in Chicago we have contracts. But if you are in that space, this is for you. And that may be the reason why you're on the fence, because you don't want to commit to this work moving forward. But this is the work you should be doing for yourself. This is your opportunity to be selfless or selfish, because as school leaders, we give to everyone besides ourselves. So I would say do it for you. Put yourself first. Exercise some self-care.
That's a mic drop. I could have mic dropped after each of your responses, but thank you. Yes, I appreciate that, because that is the overall goal for us, is sustainability. Like, we know about the Great Resignation, we know about the Black Exodus, and we also know that data shows that, what is it, like a little under 10% of school leaders are Black, right? Um, but we have, like, our babies are representing the global majority, right? And so it's like we need them to see themselves. And there's all this data that shows the impact of having uh, a Black school leader in the seat for any for all teachers and for kids, right? So we need to figure out a way to stay in the seat. I often say that uh, principals don't retire from the principalship anymore. So how do we put the things in place so that the people that really love it and want to be here aren't burned out and can stay here? And that's the whole intent behind TLC. Is not just about the personal development, yes, and the professional development, yes, but it's about the community. It's about what are the things that we're putting in place to take care of each other and ourselves, because nobody really focuses on the leader. So this is an opportunity for you to focus on you. Um, and I agree with you, David. I always say, um, I am protective of the space, but I'm more selective of the space, right? That's the thing. I want us to be selective of the space because it is for us. But we need people that are coming into the space to be ready and open to really look at their leadership, to really look at how they're showing up, to look at what are some of the things that we are perpetuating that we don't even know within our schools. Yeah, so we're not going to get into that. That's a whole nother thing. So the other thing is we often are asked, and so we're often asked about specifically this, and also talking about sustainability, just this program. If you could speak to people that are thinking about even investing in Black Principals Network or the Leadership Collaborative, why is it important to invest in programs like TLC and organizations like BPN from your perspective? Mm-hmm.
Research will tell you that um, Black students perform better when they have a Black teacher. And I would argue and even say that Black schools perform better when they have Black leaders. So oftentimes a lot of principal preparation programs aren't designed to really develop the Black principal completely and in a full manner. And one of the things about this work when people leave is because they haven't been poured in fully, right? And we talked about the therapy that's offered. We talked about even in some of the sessions how it dives into us as people and how we can listen. Self-care saves lives, right? And so we preach self-care as one of the tenets. And so you want to invest in a space where it will not only develop black principals to lead their schools, but develop Black principals to lead their communities. And so if you're looking for a space and wonder why, how do we get more Black principals? How do we keep more Black principals? You need to invest in spaces that's supportive of that. And again, you can put it in Google Black Principal Network. This is the only one's going to pop up. So there's really only one space that's really doing the work properly. And we have 2 cohorts full of amazing leaders across the country in different cities and different schools, impacting different communities. That is proof of it. So if you don't believe it, by going on the website and going or listen to this live stream, you can come to 5750 East 30th Street in Indianapolis and come see the work I'm doing. You can go to Chicago, see the work's happening there. You can go to Duval, you can go to DC, you can go all over the country and see the impact we're having. So if you don't believe it by this and don't believe by the website, you can pull up on us too, and we'll show you the work that we're doing. Thanks to the support and the development we got from BPN and TLC.
Yes, like David said, pull up. If you don't, if you go and you Google it, you'll see it. Pull up. I would say investing in TLC or BP Black Principal Network for investors. It's a win-win. If you're investing in a organization that is supporting leaders who are going back, pouring into their communities, pouring into our future, which is eventually they're going to go out into the world and become these change agents, then that's money well invested, if you ask me. Again, you can look at the research and they say, you know, a Black teacher, Black student with a Black teacher, they perform well. But that's the same thing with a leader. It trickles down. And as Tarshawn said earlier, we need support for our most, you know, they always say the student, no, it's the leader. The leaders are the one who we need to support and uplift and make sure are in a good space to do the work that is so important, because when they lead, it trickles down. And then we're going to build up our community, build up a world where we're making transformative impact in all the communities that we're in. So it's definitely, if you're going to invest, put your money where you can see it in action.
Agreed. I definitely think that investing in organizations like Black Principals Network and Surge and just affinity spaces, I think that it is important to be intentional so that there is representation for our young people, for our families, so that they feel safe and connected and a sense of well-being. And nobody can save us but us. And we are the most qualified to solve the problems and challenges of our communities. But we have to have space, development, support, and opportunity to do that. So if you want to change the trajectory of a generation and not just a child, this is where you should put your money.
I feel like I should pass a collection plate, but that's okay.
I mean, you may need to.
I mean, I might. No, I do want to thank you. I want to thank you all for showing up and showing out per usual and just sharing a little bit about your experience. I mean, I could talk all day, but I feel like just in true BPN fashion, we need to hear from those that are in the seat, have sat in the seat. Um, so I appreciate your time. I know it is a long day, so I appreciate you spending this time with us. Look, my sister's still at school. Okay. Yeah, it's a long day, but I appreciate you sharing your experience. And I'm pretty sure that those that are on the fence are going to get off of the fence because of what they have heard today. I'm thankful for you. I'm grateful for you. Our application is open You can go to the link. You can also go to the Surge Institute website, surgeinstitute.com/the Leadership Collaborative with dashes between. It is your opportunity to pour into yourself. Uh, I really do hope that if you are thinking about BPN, I'm going to tell you what my mama told me. My mother would always say, you don't tell yourself no, you let them tell you no. So even if you don't apply, because one of the things that we say about surge happens when it's supposed to happen for you. So apply and see what happens. I'm very excited. Thank you so much. Thank you all for
You
being.
can't get off without giving you some love. Hold on. You tried.
I was just gonna
Man,
say
you tried it.
that.
You tried it. And I was waiting for an entry point. But your leadership in BPN, because you've done the work and you care so much and you are selective with it, is another reason. And then shout out to our big little sis and Gia as well, right? Your team, you all are very important. So you wouldn't, that wasn't about to happen. So you deserve your flowers, both of y'all, because you guys have curated a space twice that has hit it out of the park. And so we know the third time is going to be a charm too. So that's another reason. If you want to be around people, you want to be around a principal who's done the work, who understands what you go through, who will pull up on you, support you. And then if you need a big little sis who may not have been a principal, but she has principal tendencies, if you don't do them surveys, right?
Do the survey. Do the survey. Please do the survey.
They curate space and they care so much. So, and they take care of you. So I just had to say that before we get out.
It's the principal tendencies for me.
Yes, they take care of you, and we have a good time. Very good time.
Yes.
Very, very good time.
I appreciate that. I am grateful for the team, but honestly, we are co-curators of this space, right? Like, so it is, I appreciate that, but I do want to know that you're just as much of a curator of this space as we are, right? And so that's why we say bring your whole selves to it, because it's going to be what we all make it. So thank you, Yasin, for the Leadership Collaborative website so that you can apply. It is in the chat. This is your opportunity to pour into yourself. I'm just going to be honest with you. That's what it is. And they spoke a little bit about the intention behind it. There are very few programs that I have experienced that are for us, by us, and done with people that have sat in the seat. Oftentimes, the best intended programs are those that are done in theory, but anytime you're in TLC, anytime you're in anything BPN, we are very intentional about it being facilitated by people that have experienced what you are experiencing in some way, shape, or form. So I appreciate all of our fabulous facilitators, our coaches, all of that, down to that. So thank you all so much. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all real big and bad.
We love you too.
And I'm excited about the next cohort. Come through TLC 25. We'll see you soon. Bye.